Now, hello and welcome to the next part of our life. Last time we went through excuse me, the tutorial and we got to know Corvo for the first time. So let's see how this will continue. For the rest of the summer, Corvo was always there. You saw him more often than Shiloh, and on some days, when she was in a bad mood or busy, you even saw him more than Lizzie. He became a staple of your everyday life, the way sun and lunch and the beach were. During your first summer together, you really liked Corvo. He was a fun person to play with, and he seemed to like playing with you too. Of course, that was only the start of things. Moment selection. Okay. Which to do first? Let's say shopping? Come back before it gets dark, alright, Spot? The familiar voice drifted across the street and drew your attention away from the snail you've been watching inch slowly across the pavement. Corvo waited in front of his dad, pushing his green hair back off his face from where the breeze was blowing it over his glasses. He looked to be paying only a mild amount of attention as he was being handed a few slips of green paper. It reminded you of when you first met Mr. Holden, although he's probably not paying Corvo to be friends with himself. Corvo's dad seemed to fear your gaze somehow, and maybe you made a noise, because a second later his eyes were on you. He waved you over with a smile. He looked happy to see you, but you still felt a little weird for getting caught. You gotta learn how to be more sneaky. You brushed your hands together to free them of sand, then jogged over to join the two, smiling at Corvo first and then his dad.
Rina!
Oh, they're really saying it. Rina, hi.
How's it going?
Good to see you again. What excitement are you up to today, Rina? Stuff. That's always the best answer. Always the best answer. I found a really cool snail across the road. He was slimy with funny eyes and a nice shell. Mr. Holden grinned at your enthusiasm. After you finished answering the question, Mr. Holden's attention returned to Corvo, who was preoccupied with folding the bills he had into a tiny rectangle. Sounds fun. You know, Corvo was about to hit the stores by the beach. Why don't you go with him? You gave a ready nod, turning to squint in the direction of the stores like you could see the goods they had to offer all the way from where you stood. Is that okay?
Yeah.
I don't mind. Great. I'm sure you guys will have loads of fun. Mr. Holden reached into his pocket and pulled out a leather wallet filled out a meh. Mr. Holden reached into his pocket and pulled out a leather wallet filled with money. You found it odd, since your moms only ever seemed to have cards in theirs. Ah, no cash? In Germany we still use mostly cash, though I guess you can pay with card, but you can do that everywhere, I think. Here. He leaned in to pass a crisp 10 to Corvo, giving him a wink and a whisper. Get something for your friend too. Sure.
Good.
That's my boy. Corvo's dad ruffled his son's hair as he was straightening back up, the bill in his hand still held out towards the green-haired boy. Take care. Corvo accepted the bill after a second and slipped it into his pocket. Then, with one last nod to his dad, he turned and started walking. You followed after him, intrigued at the possibilities this outing might bring. Carver strayed towards the gentle tide creeping up the sand, and you fell into place beside him. It was a nice day, the sun was shining, and there weren't many clouds in the sky, though the wind coming off the ocean kept it from being too hot. You took in a deep breath, enjoying the scent of salt and ocean air. When you looked at Colville, he was dragging his feet through the sand a little, and you slowed down to wait for him. His eyes searched the ground intently. Are you looking for shells? Colville startled a little at the sound of your voice and mumbled mumbled a sort of. If you see any, you can let me know. You could manage that. You dropped your view to the sand, walking carefully so you didn't step on any. You were good at finding shells. You had a lot of them at home, and always found new ones whenever you visited the beach. The comforting sound of the waves filled the silence with pleasant white noise, and you played a little game with yourself as you walked along, getting as close to the water as possible without getting wet. It resulted in you having to run up the sand quickly when a wave rushed in, more than a few times, and although Carver threw a few glances your way, he didn't say a word. What did you want to go to the shops for? I need a new sand pile. Yeah? What happened to your old one? Coven narrowed his eyes, seeming to think deeply for a second.
Whoa.
It disappeared. What, really? Carver ducked his head down, lacing his fingers behind his back. It didn't seem like he was going to continue, so you nudged his arm. How did it happen? Well... Carver opened his mouth, then shut it again, considering. I took it to the beach one day. Uh-huh. When I got home, it wasn't anywhere. You left it there? Nope, it wasn't at the beach when I went back. Then you lost it. It disappeared.
So...
What about you? What do you do out here? I do like swimming, but I don't like swimming in the ocean because nope. I probably would come to the beach a lot as a child. I loved looking at fish, but they were a bit hard to watch from the beach, you know. I mean, there are some fish which come pretty close to the beach, but still it would be kind of difficult without getting wet. So I like to build sandcastles. Last summer Lizzie and I built one that was as tall as me, and sometimes they have sandcastle building competitions down by the boardwalk. Cool, I bet you could win. You smiled at Corbin. Maybe the two of you would build one together one day. Once you reached the shopping area, the noise level grew exponentially. No longer just waves and footsteps, but a shadow of people enjoying the lovely summer day. The call of birds trying to find bits of food left behind, and lots of salespeople trying to get attention. You sniffed the air as you walked beside Corvin. You could still smell the ocean, but there were other scents now. Pizza, pretzels, hot donuts. I would like the smells, I would not like the people. I mean, I was a lot less shy back then, but I still liked getting some nice alone time, you know? Let's say it's alright. There was a lot going on, but it beats staying at home and doing nothing all day. Yeah, doing nothing is boring, but I actually really like staying at home. You were sure that you and Kobe could find something to fill the day if you looked around a bit. Kobe was glancing from one side of the street to the other with a look in his aquamarine eyes that you couldn't quite work out. What's that? Carver pointed to a large crowd of people gathered near a few tables with large, colorful umbrellas blooming from their middles. You couldn't see past the adults who were blocking the way, but you knew there must be something worth seeing. Without another word, the two of you hurried over to see what all the commotion was about. Feast your eyes on the amazing Alexander. In the center of the crowd was a man with a tall hat and a funny green coat that had 3 long tails. There was a little table next to him with a cloth hanging over it that read "The Amazing Alexander" in glittery golden script. Why tell people his name if it's already on a sign? Carver hummed with understanding, then turned to walk away just as the amazing Alexander began shuffling a deck of cards. I want to see the show. Carver glanced back at the man. He then briefly lifted his arms off his sides before returning them to place.
Okay.
He may not be impressed, but at least he didn't ditch you. You grinned, waving for him to follow you as he as you raced back to the stand in the crowd. With that it began. The magic man pulled one card out of the deck, showing it to the curious onlookers. It was a 4 of diamonds. Watch closely. You did, squeezing through a few of the adult onlookers to get a better view. Suddenly, the man snapped his fingers and the card just disappeared. Whoa! The amazing Alexander, who had earned his title, turned his head and looked directly at you. He reached out with a kind smile. What is that behind your ear? I actually wasn't that good with like public displays as a child even. Like when I was 10 years old, I actually appeared on TV once. I hated every second of it. But sadly I was the star of such an episode, and so I hated it. I hated it so bad. It was I knew the second no, bad memories. I hated it so much to be on TV. No one asked me if I wanted to be on TV. And so I had a vacation ruined for it. Well, at least I hope my parents learned a lesson to not sign me up in some shit where I would appear on TV. Well, but this isn't really the same amount of scale, so nothing. It was true, you didn't keep anything there. He smelled like popcorn and candy when he stepped closer, and you wrinkled your nose in confusion as you watched him. You felt a tug, and then he pulled the 4 of diamonds out from behind your ear. What? You knew it couldn't really have come from your ear, but you still didn't get how you'd done it. There was light applause from the crowd, and the man gave a deep bow. This is for you. The magician plucked a pair of balloons from a clump of them tied down to his table. Both were in the shape of a dolphin instead of being a normal cycle. And one for your friend too. Thank you for being my assistant. Wow. Now you were really grateful he chose you. After that he went to someone else in the crowd. Pick a card, any card. My uncle does that every time he visits. Not the balloons, the stuff with the cards. Carver spoke plainly while reaching over to take the dolphin that had been designated for him. Yeah, I would be like, yeah, still had fun. You saw a magic trick, and you got a great balloon. That was more than enough to make it a worthwhile event. You thought that if you could earn a card to practice with, maybe you could make it disappear too. The crowd started to clear some, and you noticed to the side there was a whole rack of brightly colored kaleidoscopes on display. I probably would have been the most interested in the Rubik's Cube, even though those things hate me and I still don't get them right, even a single time. Oh, Corvus, check this out. Will you hold my balloon while I look at this? Corvus nodded, taking your balloon and holding it in the same hand as his own, so you could get a good grip on the cube. He stood next to you and watched as you attempted to match the colored rows. You managed to line up all the green squares on one side of the cube, but there were still 5 more sides to go. Deciding that it was something you should continue another time, you set the cube back on the rack, took your balloon from Corville, who moved to the other side of the stall. He went under the awning, I don't know that word, careful of his own floating dolphin, and you joined him. Probably just, did you have place like that in your old town? However blinked at you for a moment, and you wondered if you shouldn't have asked. You knew how much you missed that place. Not really. You nodded in understanding, looking over the stalls nearby. Oh, I would have wanted a shark so bad. While Corval looked at the sand pails, you were drawn to a table with colorful keychains laid out on it. They were soon in the shape of sea creatures, and there was a plaquette that reads "Handmade" standing proudly in front. There were lots of different types. You saw a dolphin, a shark, a crab, a turtle. And I would want a shark so bad, nothing could go between me and the shark. Your hand stopped at the shark. A devious smirk filled the sharp teeth on its face. You weren't supposed to go near sharks in real life, but there was something about the shark you liked, and the fabric on its back was soft when you picked it up. I loved sharks. I was always fascinated by, yeah, I guess dangerous stuff when I was a child. Dangerous stuff. You were instantly enamored. I don't know how to pronounce this word. Checking the price through, your heart fell. $6. You didn't know much about money, but you thought that was a lot to spend on one thing. Oh, $6. You rarely had more than $5, a $5 bill to your name. Is that what you want? Huh? Oh, it's $6. I didn't bring any money.
All right.
It's fine. I would be like, are you sure? Because on one hand, I'm not that much a fan of people when people just buy me stuff, but I also understand being on the other side, you know? I really like buying people shit. I like buying people stuff. So like, and denying that isn't always the best thing, especially if you're friends. Like, if you're friends, you gotta accept the stuff your friends offer you, you know? Not all, everything of course, but I think it's accepting goodwill is also a form of accepting becoming closer to people. Carver took the keychain from your hand, and that was that. He was holding a small yellow bucket for himself too. Was always gonna get you something. I already got the money for it. You beamed, excited at the idea of displaying the keychain somewhere in your room. It was nice of Carver's dad to let Carver buy something for you too. You had to remember to thank him next time you saw him. After Carver paid, the two of you stepped out of the store side by side, your balloon dolphins knocking together and spiraling around in the air. You watched Carver hold up his new pail to his face, examining it thoroughly. Hey, Carver. Yeah? Thanks for the keychain. Don't worry about it. Carver looked further down the street, where different food carts were lined up. He rested his non-cast arm over his stomach, and just as he did yours, let out a light growl. You hadn't eaten since breakfast, and after all of this wandering around, you were definitely ready for some lunch. Let's get some food. Yeah. You two wandered around a short while, looking at all the delicious delicacies that were available. Everything looked delicious, and as the different smells, both sweet and salty, wafted over to you, your stomach growled even louder. After passing up hot dogs, snow cones, ice cream and pizza, you both agreed on pretzels. Good choice, good choice. Carver got something to eat in cinnamony, and you? I wouldn't get one with chocolate, that's you. Cheese. A nice one with cheese. You licked your lips hungrily as the vendor handed your pretzel over, ready to take a big bite. It was covered in gooey melted cheese, just the way you liked it. It seemed odd to get a dessert pretzel before eating normal food. You found an empty table close enough to the beach that the grit of the sand made terrible noises as you dragged the chairs out to sit down. These balloons are gonna make it hard to eat. Carver placed his bucket on the table as he stared at his still balled-up hand that was wrapped around in a string. You opened your mouth to agree before an idea hit you. I know. After carefully placing your pretzel somewhere it wouldn't get sandy, you tucked the balloon dolphin out of Carver's hand and tied it to a delicate bow around his wrist.
Oh.
Oh. Carver bounced his arms up and down in place, testing the stability of your knot. After watching his balloon jostle around but remain attached, he smiled, satisfied. There, now to mine. He repeated the ritual. Carver struggled somewhat with the cast, restricting his fingers in one hand and a string already tangled around the other.
Okay.
Got it. The two of you spent a moment admiring your handiwork, both hands now free to allow easy munching on your pretzels. You bit into the dirty treat, savoring the taste on your tongue with a smile as you looked out over the ocean. After a time you finished your pretzel, you were done before Carver. It was boring not having anything to do. You pulled out the string of your balloon to bring it down to your level. Then you held the dolphin in your hands, manipulating it to make it look like it was jumping through the air. If you turned the face towards the beach, it almost looked like it was swimming in the waves, like a real dolphin. A laugh came from your side. When you glanced at Carver, he had left the remaining part of his pretzel on the wrapper, and he was gripping his dolphin too. Okay, what kind of weird stuff have I been up to when I was a child again? Actually, most of the time I wasn't like dreaming of super fancy or complicated stuff. It was mostly like, holy shit, I'm a mermaid. And I'm just swimming around, happily. think the most complicated stuff I played was together with like school friends. They really wanted to play some soap opera-ish romance stories with Barbie dolls. And I was always just there shaking my head over the plot they created. And I was just like, oh my god, please. Please don't involve my Barbie doll in this mess. I just want her to live in peace with her cats being happy. Not this romantic crap this romantic mess you're fabricating there. Good lord. So yeah, they're just a regular dolphin. You sigh and think about how great it would be to have a pet dolphin of your own. What's yours? Carver considered this question, placing the balloon against the table and resting his free arm across it in contemplation. It's... Oh no! With a loud pop, the dolphin exploded into ribbons. Oh no! For a second, all Carver did was gape in shock like you. Then his cheeks puffed up, squinting his eyes, and you saw tears start to glisten. Rina, it... My first instinct would be to just give my own balloon. I did that kind of stuff back then. Especially if it wasn't something I was incredible. No wait, even if I really cared about stuff, I still gave stuff away. I know, I think I gave one of my most precious stuffed animal to my cat back there, because she always seemed to steal it from my room because she loved it that much. So I thought, okay, if she loves my stuffed animals so much, then I'll just give it to her. Though, in reality, she just liked it so much because it smelled so much like me, so... offer to give Maya a balloon. He looked at Corver, then up to your balloon, bobbling gently in the air above you. You can have mine. That was better than letting him cry more, Corver sniffled, glancing up at the balloon, then back at you. No, it's yours. I don't want to take it from you. It's okay, really. Corver shook his head. Even though it wasn't your fault, you felt bad. Still, the offer seemed to lift Corver's spirits, and that was good. The passing of Corver's balloon was the last major event of your adventure. In the end, the two of you headed back. Late that afternoon, you separated on the beach, and while Corver went straight home with his brand new sand pails in hand, you decided to sit for a while. You watched the waves and the sunset, fiddling with your new keychain. Another summer day was drawing to a close. It had been a good one, except for the sad final note. Grown up? Long day, Sandcastles. I'm also thinking about if maybe I will probably get the DLC. But well, I won't let's play those steps because, well, gotta give you some incentive to buy the DLC yourself after all. But let's choose Sandcastle. Carver wasn't able to do many things that summer. Then you and him and Shiloh set out on the shoreline one bright morning. You could tell he wanted to be in the water, but there was no way he'd be swimming anytime soon, not with his cast. The waves washed a single shell to shore, glistening in blue, another reminder of the places he couldn't go. From what you heard from Corvus' old life so far, in tiny pieces and fragments, You could tell that he would do anything to be able to get the cast off, even cutting it off himself if he could. He thought about how his summer last year must have been totally different from this, with his old home and his mom and dad. But now he was here with you and Shiloh and Lizzie and everyone else, and he couldn't even go in the sea. His town wasn't bad. It had all your favorite things in it, but sitting there on the same beach you had grown up, and you could understand that not everybody else felt the same way about Sunset Bird as you did. You watched him from the corner of your eye quietly, and he finally said aloud what you had been pondering. I wish I could go in. The water? Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're gonna be able to do it soon? Culver only signed in response. Apparently soon wasn't soon enough. It's pretty. The ocean. And huge. There could be anything out there, like mermaids. Yeah. I would never say stuff like mermaids aren't real. Like, no, 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 no. I will just pick this one, I guess. Alright. Obviously not interested in hearing much more of your input on the situation, Corvo turned back to the water. But as he looked away, something about Shiloh's slow, careful movements caught his eye. Are you building a sandcastle? Sort of. I was only playing around while you were talking. I'm listening. Maybe I could too. I've only made big piles before. It's really nothing special. I'm sure you'll be good at it right away. Well, how do you do it then? Shiloh's cheeks lit up. You could tell he was a little bit uncomfortable to have Corvo's expectant stare on him. I'll play too. I love making sand stuff.
Okay.
No! Ah, thank God. I can scroll up. He put his hands back to his seashells and sand and nodded. I don't do a lot. Here's how I like to get a house started. Shiloh, focusing more intently than you'd ever seen him, guided Corvo through this process. You happily used your own method. It didn't take long for the three of you to each have a humble structures prepared. That's all. That's all, kind of. You can do anything now. Like make it bigger, add some seashells, carve a pretty pattern. I bet you'll have great ideas.
Okay.
I'm gonna make it bigger. Mine's gonna be a real castle.
Cool.
Cool, this is gonna be a house. Looking at the base of your sandcastle, you decided to make... Well, it would be more interesting to make a mansion then. Looking at the base of your sandcastle, you decided to design a mansion. The better part of the next hour was spent focusing on your own work. The boys were the same. Even Shiloh didn't sneak as many peeks at everyone else as he usually did. You finished shaping before either of them did, glancing up from what you'd built. It seemed you got done so fast because they already searched around for extra decorations. Shiloh had grabbed most of the really interesting stuff, and Corvo had a lot of the shells, but there were still options. The first thing you reached for was seashells. It was the best fit for your mansion, you decided. The blue color of it still reminded you of the clear water, so you displayed it front and center, making it a headlining feature of your whole thing. Pleased with your result, you finally took a proper look around that wasn't focused on the sand itself. Both Corvo and Shiloh seemed super immersed still. You know you could probably sneak a peek at either one's work. The sandcastle is obviously more interesting than a house. The castle Carver had built looks surprisingly tidy, especially for someone in a cast. He must have worked really hard. He wasn't even finished digging the huge gaping moat in front, but it wasn't already enormous. You got the sense from the enthusiasm he was digging with that the doctor was probably going to find a bunch of sand when he finally removed the pink plaster. The silence was then broken. What's on top of yours, Shiloh? You peeked closer and discovered something shiny sticking out of Shiloh's sand chimney. Oh, it's just gum wrapper. It looks like smoke.
Neat.
It's good. That's smart. Yeah, let's go for this. You'd be good at it, Shiloh. Shiloh smiled without a word. And that was that for the current topic. Rina, can I see what you did? Sure. He scooted just a bit nearer and began surveying your work. And you really knew about... all you really knew about mansions was that we're supposed to be big. So you'd gone really big. It was the size of the country club that Lizzie played golf at. Compared to Corvus and Shiloh's buildings, probably even bigger. Shiloh quickly decided to jump in on the new conversation. Hey Rena, what did you do? It's a mansion. It looks great. Your house is so big. I guess mansions are just really big houses. Huh? Is being a house bad?
No.
No. No, but we each made our own place. Nobody is the same. I think we are. Carver raised the eyebrow at that. If something is the only one of that thing that makes it special? Yeah, for sandcastles and stuff. People too. My dad always says how everybody is their own man, a real individual. I don't think I'm very special.
Why?
Why not? Nobody is you. Shiloh simply shook his head. I'm not different. A beat passed between the two. Carver then looked at his own work again. Okay. He didn't seem to be bothered leaving the disagreement hanging there. Carver had other things in his mind. My dad tried to get me to make sandcastles the first time we came to this beach. I didn't want to. Carver trailed off. Again, there was another moment of silence. Shiloh shifted and opened his mouth to say something, but Carver spoke up before he could. You didn't think he noticed that Shiloh was going to talk? Hey, do you know what happened when your moms met my dad, Rena? You cocked your head, thinking about it briefly. I wasn't there, they didn't tell me. I just remember what happened when I met your dad. Mr. Holden had been a weird stranger then. Well, he was still kind of strange. No other parent acted like him, but you knew him better at this point. Now that you thought about it, it made a lot of sense that Corvus dare talked to him about the people being unique. You were pulled from your thoughts when Carver continued. Oh, well, I was there. I don't think my mom has met your dad. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she hasn't. Rena's parents and my dad met the same day I met them. I'm gonna say what happened. Shiloh frowned to himself, ducking his head. His head cast a shadow over his face. You could still tell he was upset at not being included in Corvus' choice of topic. That was kind of boring for him, though giving people their own turn to say the things they want is important too. Unless it's like a really bad case of talking over people, you wouldn't step in. Shiloh could talk about stuff after Corvo had a chance to share what he planned on. When we moved here, we didn't bring a lot of things with us, only some stuff that would fit in Dad's car. We didn't even get a moving truck. I sat there while Dad brought it all inside. I didn't want to get out because I knew Dad would make me look around the new house. I really didn't want to do that. His lips twisted into a frown as he recalled that. Then I saw your moms. They were in a car too and stopped at your house. I guess they were coming back from somewhere or something. My dad noticed, he waved his hand, then went over to the front of your house where I started talking to them. I don't know what they said, I couldn't hear it. But he couldn't see me anymore since he was looking the other way. So I opened the car door and left. I wanted to get away and went behind the houses. I found those hills there, the ones where we met for the first time. Corvo nodded, then stared at you. You stared back. He didn't go on to say anything more. What? That's all you want to say? Corvo's brow winkled, like he didn't understand why you were surprised.
Huh?
That's all that happened. Thanks for telling me. You're welcome. Even if not much happened, you weren't gonna complain about knowing the story. Shiloh's mouth twisted into a scowl of disbelief, but he said nothing. Why'd you bring that up anyway? There was a slight shrug of Corvo's shoulders.
Well...
I was thinking about it because of the Sandcastle. It made me remember when I moved here. Dad showed me the beach first, before we went back to the car to unpack. He was really excited about it for some reason. Corvo's brows furrowed a little more as he quietly raked his hands through the sand. I get it. He thought maybe Mr. Holden wasn't that excited about the beach and was instead hoping Corvo might be. But the line of conversation had come to an end. Even Corvo was done with it. Some other topic had popped into his head. Shiloh fidgeting uncomfortably in the sand made Corvo aware of his presence again. They looked at each other, and you could only wonder what this might be about. Hey, Shiloh. Yeah? Why are you always turning so red, even when nothing is happening? Clearly startled, he jerked back. Neither you or Shiloh had expected that to be how you got included in the conversation again. I don't know, I guess. Okay, it's kind of weird. Shiloh's eyes were wide with embarrassment and his lips twitched. And he was blushing even harder than before. Maybe it wasn't only this, perhaps it was simply the last straw. But it was a big deal to Shiloh, a huge deal. He didn't just look sad, he seemed almost panicked. You weren't sure if he was about to cry or run away or what, but you soon got an answer. That's kind of a strong reaction. Why do you wear glasses? Most kids don't wear glasses. And nobody is named Corvo. Who asked you to come? It was probably just your dad bugging Reina's family some more, cause you don't have anyone else who'll ever play with you. That's a bit far, little one. I mean, calling someone weird is very rude. But saying this is a bit much in retaliation, you know? Corvo blinked. The tension on the beach was subtly uncomfortable in a way you didn't know how to move past. It didn't seem like the kind of thing you would get upset about, though you hadn't ever known what kind of thing would bother Shiloh. I'm sorry. Me too, I was just wondering. I'm just awkwardly, oh my god, a bit more. You wanna keep building sandcastles? Yeah, okay. Carver glanced at Shiloh, whose smile hadn't returned to full power, then at you. Alright. What a relief. You were glad it was settled. You all went back to making more sand buildings, but the whole mood had changed. Shiloh's cheeriness was clearly gone, and Carver looked as confused as ever about why the other boy had blown up. The air stayed uncomfortable the rest of the afternoon, right up to the moment that Shiloh's mom appeared at the beach to take him home. At least you tried to do something to resolve it, though it seemed like it would help. Even though Shiloh's smile when he said goodbye to Carver wavered, it stayed as bright as ever for you. That had to count for something. But with Shiloh gone and the sun going down, you knew what time for you and Carver to head to your own houses. So you lead the way on the path back home. The walk home was quiet. You passed by familiar landmarks, shoes thumping against the sidewalk in near perfect unison. Carver was clearly caught up in thinking about something. I would probably want to bring it up again. So I'll just ask. You didn't want to leave it hanging in the air, so you decided to just ask. Why are you making that face? Oh, I was just wondering. Carver fell silent again, after a few more seconds, then sighed. Why'd Shiloh act like that, when I said he was alright a lot? It was kinda rude, but that's not an explanation perfectly. It's more like he gets embarrassed, I would say. Like, Carver obviously doesn't understand why saying that someone gets red a lot would be something to blow up at. So it's better to just answer his question. Embarrassed, but I didn't say anything that bad. It might have upset him anyway? I guess I can get it. Why he would do that. Sometimes I get really mad too. Despite seemingly coming to a conclusion, Carver's mood was a little sour. Hey, Rina, was Shiloh telling the truth? Huh? His gaze left yours as he dug the sole into his shoe into the ground. He looked utterly vulnerable for a second. Does my dad make you hang out with me? I know he talks to your moms about that a lot. An uncomfortable weight settled into your chest at the question. You liked spending time with Carl. You didn't even have to think hard about it. You knew you did. But you couldn't help feeling guilty. Carver still didn't know what happened when you met Mr. Holden. I mean, the only right answer is nobody is making me spend time with you. Some things are better left unsaid, especially in this situation. That's not how you should answer to this situation. Carver's shoulders relaxed. You hadn't even noticed that he had tensed up. Yeah, that's what I thought too. Anyway, I didn't think you were pretending. I just wanted to make sure it was okay is all.
Thanks.
Thanks for telling me. Your throat tightened. It was hard to meet Carver's earnest gaze again. Keeping secrets was hard. It's no problems, Carver. By now, the two of you were on the sidewalk near your house. It was time to part ways. I didn't really hug other children back then. So yeah, you said goodbye. Bye, see you tomorrow. Carver smiled and nodded firmly. Bye, Rina. You made your way to your house, crossing the driveway to get to the front of the door. When you looked back, you saw Carver making his way back home too. As if he felt your eyes on him, you turned around. He waved. You did too. You still felt a little unsure with what you were supposed to do about the deal Carver's dad had offered. You didn't want to say something bad or something you shouldn't. You had no idea how Carver would take it either. It would be terrible if it made him feel bad. What if he didn't want to play with you anymore? You might change your mind sometime. There was always tomorrow after all, but for now it was definitely something that you would keep to yourself. With a final look, you went inside your house. Okay, and I think this is where we can end this episode. So next time we will start with the next moment. So until then, goodbye!